Well, we're thinking of a whole variety of options for how you could do better at authentication. So you can start with nearer-term things like tokens or fobs that might have NFC or Bluetooth embedded in them. But you can also think about a means of authentication that you could simply wear on your skin every day for a week at a time, say an electronic tattoo. But there's still some fundamental problems that we haven't solved. Like one of them is the mechanical mismatch between humans and electronics, right? So electronics are boxy and rigid, humans are curvy and soft. That's a mechanical mismatch problem. Well, a researcher at the University of Illinois, his name is Dr. Rogers, what he discovered is that he could use standard CMOS techniques to make islands of high-performance silicon connected by accordion-like structures that would allow it to stretch up to 200% and still be performing.
We have the technology to mix species, perhaps mix a human with an animal. Transhumanism. Explain this.
Well, that's absolutely right. In fact, we're doing it in laboratories around the world. When most people today hear about the stem cell sciences, they don't realize that a great deal of that is talking about the creation of a part human, part animal embryo that then can be used for experimental purposes. Now, transhumanism itself is the idea that we're going to use that kind of science and other kinds of science to create a new form of mankind.
Well, why do we want to create a new form of mankind?
Well, of course, you know, if you talk to the transhumanists, they're utopians. They believe we can live forever. We can have immortal life without the bother of having to ask Jesus to give it to us.
And what he did is he founded a company, and they started making electronic tattoos. So I'm wearing one here on my arm.
Do we have a camera to get a...
This is a developmental system made by MC10, and it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication.
Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Now, it may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents. Right?
And that can have a design, right? Because they would certainly want some kind of cool design.
Options. And that's something that you wear, but you could also imagine including authentication in just your daily habits. So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication?
What?
Vitamin authentication. Look, I have one right here. Well, here, I'll let you hold it. Would you like to hold it?
I'll hold it.
Okay. So this...
You guys see it?
This pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch. It also has what amounts to an inside-out potato battery. When you swallow it, the acids in your stomach serve as the electrolyte, and they power it up, and the switch goes on and off. And it creates an 18-bit ECG-like signal in your body, and essentially your entire body becomes your authentication token. Yes, this is true.
Okay, but...
Okay, so wait. So it's really true. So what this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
So...
You know, the whole move of these implants, there are a couple of stupid companies like the Verichip Corporation, with all its various names, that come out and say, oh, well, we want to sell this as a product. I don't think it's going to happen that way. People don't want an ID microchip. But if you turn around and instead say, you'll be able to listen to music and access Facebook and you know, get your email through this little implant, you're going to have a stampede of people wanting to do it.
Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? And you know what is restraining him now, so that he may be revealed in his time. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains it will do so until he is out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will kill with the breath of his mouth, and bring to nothing by the appearance of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan, with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing, because they refused to love the truth and so be saved. Therefore God sends them a strong delusion, so that they may believe what is false, in order that all may be condemned, who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
What about when Joshua and the nation of Israel entered the land of Canaan? They were instructed to wipe out every man, woman, and child of certain tribes. I've talked to some people whose entire rejection of the Bible and God rests on this portion of the biblical text. This video is for those people. What no one ever mentions when recounting this issue is that according to the story itself, the tribes that they killed were non-human hybrids called the Nephilim, and they were huge. They had iron beds 13 feet long and 6 feet wide. It says that the Israelites were like grasshoppers in the sight of the Canaanites. These Nephilim were the offspring of very evil spiritual beings, and they were apparently the primary reason God sent the flood. Satan knew of the prophecies of one that would come to defeat him, and before any of the prophets came to expand on how this was to occur, all he knew at that point was that the Messiah would be a human. The Nephilim were an attempt to infiltrate the entire bloodline of humanity, so that the Messiah could not be a full-blooded man. And if it weren't for Noah and his family, it would have worked. Then when Abraham found out from God that the land of Canaan was to be given to Abraham, Satan also found out, and he had over 400 years to plant this minefield of Nephilim in the land of Canaan, in an attempt to thwart the plan of God. Genesis 6:4 tells us that the Nephilim were also on the earth after the flood, and it is them who Joshua was told to wipe out. Tribes such as the Rephaim, the Emim, the Horim, the Zamzummim were all giants. The kingdom of Og was the land of the giants. Later we also find Arba and Anak and his 7 sons, the Anakim, also giants, along with the famed Goliath and his 4 brothers.
The ancient fallen angels of the Old Testament subsequently produced a race of giants upon the earth. Tall in stature like the angels, they often stood anywhere between 10 to 30 feet in height. The Bible refers to the Nephilim most notably as Anakims, Emims, Rephaim, Avims, and Zamzummims. But God had chosen a shepherd boy by the name of David to slay the remnants of the giants, to wipe out the Nephilim from the face of the earth. The remains of these giants have been found on every continent all over the world. They are recorded and referred to by ancient Jewish sources, historians, early church fathers, native tribes, and ancient peoples. It was not until the 4th century when teachings of the fallen angels and Nephilim were abolished. There was a deviation that higher spiritual beings could not resist temptation while monks were taking vows of celibacy. In a place called Baalbek, monolithic stone blocks can be seen. These structures are older than the Mayan and Inca temples and are so precisely fitted together. The trilithon stones are the largest solid stone blocks used in construction in the world, each weighing an estimated 1,375 tons. We have no modern-day crane or machinery that can lift anything near that weight. Thousands of these stones have been cut, quarried, and moved a mile away. Within the Baalbek ruins, many artifacts, grave sites, and tombs have been discovered as well. During the 1700s and 1900s in Europe and in the United States, the Smithsonian began massive excavations of great burial chambers. These numerous serpent mounds contained massive-sized skeleton remains of gigantic heights and proportions. Many of the burial remains contain artifacts, weapons, and armor. All throughout the world, in various countries and cultures, people have found similar burial sites. The origins of giants and beastly creatures are rooted from the fallen angels, but have been adopted and changed throughout the world's diverse cultures. God sent 200 angels to earth. They descended upon Mount Hermon to teach man righteousness, but fell into sin like the original fallen ones, who were cast out of heaven. These angels, like all angels, were distinct by creation, and so it was that they taught various arts to man. Samyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall not pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then sware they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it, and these are the names of their leaders. Arachiel, the angel of the earth, taught the science of nature. Kokabeel, the angel of stars, taught astrology, and Tamael taught the killing of the innocent in the womb. Azazel, another chief fallen angel who was akin to Satan, taught men the art of warfare, the making of swords, knives, shields, and coats of mail, and women the art of deception by ornamenting the body, dyeing the hair, and painting the face and the eyebrows. He also revealed to the people the secrets of witchcraft and corrupted their manners, leading them into wickedness and impurity, until at last he was bound, at the Lord's command, hand and foot, by the archangel Raphael, and chained to the rough and jagged rocks of where he is to abide in utter darkness until the great day of judgment.